Hey, what's up? I'm a frizzy, sticky mess named Catherine, and welcome to my channel. Summer's in full swing. I hate it. I don't know how this was ever my favorite season, except for the fact that I used to have central AC and now I don't. Anyways, as you probably already know if you've been keeping up with beauty news or if you saw my post on the community tab, Wet n Wild is no longer considered to be cruelty-free. So basically what happened is they were discovered to be selling in mainland China, and they came out with a statement that was basically like, well, we don't have to test our products before they can be sold in mainland China, but any cosmetics that are sold in mainland China are subject to post-market testing at any time. So basically the government can be like, you know what, we want to test this, we're going to pull it and we're going to test it on animals, which is really unfortunate. As you guys probably know, I'm cruelty-free. It's something that's important to me now. The way I see it is makeup is not a necessity whatsoever. I'm sure there are some instances where makeup is part of like a religious ceremony or something where it is more of a necessity, but in the way that I use makeup, it's not necessary. I could live without it and be completely fine. So there's no need for an animal to suffer because I want to wear makeup. So yeah, that sucks. And it just sucks because Wet n Wild is such an accessible brand, not just because of the price point, but just like I feel like anyone who lives in like suburban America is within 10 minutes driving distance of a place where they can walk in and buy Wet n Wild products. It's so accessible, it's so affordable. Products are great quality. I have so many holy grail products from Wet n Wild, which brings us to today's video, which is alternatives to my favorite Wet n Wild products. So I dug through my collection, I pulled out some alternatives, and I also searched for alternatives for some of your guys' favorite Wet n Wild products. So I want to make it clear that this video is not me telling you to throw out the products that you already own and go and buy these products. That's really wasteful and quite frankly sort of counterintuitive to the whole spirit of being cruelty-free, if you will. Just throw out products is having a really negative impact on the environment and in turn having a negative impact on animals. So just don't do that. You already own it. Use the product and don't buy it again. So anyways, I'm gonna shut up and get started. If you're new here, I'd love to have you subscribe. I'm the Hot Mess Express, but I try to post videos at least once a week, if not twice a week. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing that I want to talk about alternatives for is the Wet n Wild palettes. These color icon palettes are super popular. They've been popular, like the original color icon palettes were popular way back in the day, like when I was even like 9, 10, 11 years old. These ones are $5. They're incredible quality. You can get them at most like CVS, Walgreens, Target, that sort of thing, and a lot of them are dupes for very popular high-end eyeshadow palettes. You can see this one is very obviously a dupe for the Modern Renaissance palette. So these are $5. And the alternative that I have is the Revolution Reloaded palette. Not everything that I talk about in this video is a dupe in the sense that it's cheaper. It's just a dupe in the sense that it's an alternative product that is going to give you the same effect on the face. These are $7. They are significantly bigger, so the price jump in my opinion is worth it unless you're looking for something that's very small and travel friendly. You get a couple more shades in here, and Makeup Revolution has a ton of these as well. A lot of them are very similar to the Wet n Wild ones. They have one that's a dupe for the Soft Glam, one that's a dupe for the Subculture Palette. They have tons of these. I have 3 of them. This one's the dupe for Subculture. This one's not a dupe for anything, I don't think. It's just like a cute peachy palette. And then this one, that's the dupe for the Modern Renaissance. I think they're great quality. I think the main difference between these and the Wet n Wild palettes is the Wet n Wild formula is just like a little more powdery and pigmented versus this one's a little more buildable and blendable. Nothing wrong with that. I love both formulas, to be honest. I think I do slightly prefer this one, but it's all just a matter of preference. So these are really great, super affordable option. Lots of dupes in the lineup, and I think you'd be really happy with them if you're looking for a very cheap eyeshadow palette. Next alternative that I have is for the Wet n Wild Color Icon Blush, specifically the shade Rosé Champagne. I actually only got this for the first time back in November, and I have raved about it ever since. It's a very beautiful blush. It kind of works as like a bronzer and a blush. I love, love, love this shade. It gives a very natural glow to the skin, and it retails for about $3 depending on the drugstore that you go to. So the alternative that I have is this Terracotta Blush shade from the e.l.f. blush palette in the shade Light. So this shade does not originally come with the e.l.f. blush palette. I popped out from the contour palette. Used to be a more peachy shade here, but this one is from the original e.l.f. blush palette. These are $5 or $6 depending on the retailer, but you get 4 blush shades instead of 1. And as you can see, the color is quite similar. The main difference is this has more of a sheen to it, and this is more of a matte blush, the one in the e.l.f. palette. But they're very, very similar colored, and I find that they're both sort of similar performing on the skin, where they're very, very buildable. You're not going to get too much of an intense pigmented blush on the skin, which I don't always love. I hate when you just like go to put on your blush and you're like, ah, that was too much, and it just ruins the whole look. So this is a really, really great color alternative for the Rosé Champagne blush. I haven't tried any of the other blushes from the Color Icon lineup to be able to provide alternatives for them, but there's that. Next up, I have the loose highlights. So I have 2 of their loose highlights, but the color dupe that I have is for the one Moon Tears, which is from the Geographic collection. I believe that their like lightest gold from just their Mega Glow loose highlighting powder line is the same shade as this one, but I don't own it, so I'm not 100% sure. I think this is probably the most disappointing sort of loss for me. Obviously it's not really a loss because I still own it. I can still use it whenever I want, but I really don't like to use non-cruelty-free products on my channel. I just love loose highlighters, and this one's so affordable. It's like $6. You get so much product in there. I find that they're so buildable, and you can get like a really, really intense glow, or you can get a really natural glow, and they always look beautiful on the skin. So I don't have any other drugstore loose highlighters, but my favorite alternative loose highlighter is actually from Kylie Cosmetics. This is actually still a pretty decent price. It's $15 for a pretty good amount of product. I have the shade Santorini, which is the most similar to the Wet n Wild Moon Tears. So that's Santorini and that's Moon Tears. They're pretty similar. Santorini's a little bit lighter, a little bit more champagne-y than gold. They're both super pretty. Last time I checked, this one was actually on sale for $11.40 as opposed to $15. So if you've ever been wanting to try them, now's the time. Kylie Cosmetics was the first loose highlighter that I ever had. I really, really like them. I know Kylie Cosmetics isn't the most loved brand in the world, but I definitely think the loose highlighters are one of their best products. I have a eyeshadow primer alternative, which is for the Photo Focus eyeshadow primer, which is usually about $3. My favorite drugstore primer is the Milani eyeshadow primer. These are both very, very similar to the Urban Decay primer potion, but I do actually like the Milani one a little bit better. This one is a little more expensive. It's $7 most of the time, but it just lasts longer on the eyes. I feel like it's a little less emollient than this one, and I really, really love it. I was asked to find an alternative for the liquid Catsuit eyeshadows, which one of my subscribers said that they use as an eyeshadow primer, and I have actually never tried those as an eyeshadow primer. From what I've seen, I would recommend the Revolution Cut Crease Canvas. This is also a very, very like thick, full coverage sort of eye primer. It gives you a pretty tacky finish, but it's not gonna like, you know when you have like an eye primer that's like too wet and it just like immediately creases? Like this doesn't do that. So that's what I would recommend, but like I said, I've never tried it. It's worth a shot. This is $9 and I really, 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 really love it. I've been reaching for this like every single time I do my eyeshadow pretty much. So if you're looking for a primer that has like a little bit more coverage to it, definitely recommend that. It comes in 4 different shades, which is awesome. But I never tried the liquid Catsuit matte eyeshadows, and now I probably never will. Next up is concealer. So I have raved about the Wet n Wild Photo Focus concealer Also tried this for the first time back in November. It's sort of a light to light medium coverage concealer, which I really like. It dries down to be like a more luminous matte, I would say. And I think the closest concealer that I've tried to it is the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Concealer. So the Flower Beauty Light Illusion retails for $10 or $9. $10, yes, $10. And it is more of a light coverage concealer as well. The biggest difference is that this one has more of a luminous finish versus a luminous matte finish. But I do really like this one. I use these both for the same purpose, for when I just want like a very light coverage concealer, want like a very natural look going on. So yeah. For lip liner, I really love the Wet n Wild cream gel lip liners. I have 3 of them. They retail for $3. My favorite alternative is the LA Girl Ultimate Intense Stay Auto Liner. I only have the one shade, but it is very similar in formula. It's very like creamy, glides on. It's like the retractable, you don't have to sharpen it type of formula. I really love both of them. So I would definitely recommend the LA Girl one if you're looking for an affordable alternative. This one's usually $5 at Ulta, but LA Girl has a lot of like buy one get one half off or get one free sales a lot. So I just keep your eye out for coupons since they are a drugstore brand. 2 products left. So first is the Photo Focus Coconut Primer Water. This was requested by a subscriber, and I actually used this one completely up. Loved this product. So this retails for $5 for 1.5 ounces of product. So the one product that I've tried that's really similar is the Too Faced Hangover Primer and Setting Spray. It's like a 3-in-1, whatever it is, and that also has a very pretty coconut scent to it. So if you're looking for something that is very similar in scent, I recommend that. It is a little pricier. So it's $30 for 4 ounces of product, which comes out to about $8 for 1 ounce of product, whereas this is $3.50 per ounce of product. So it is pricier, and like it's significantly pricier at that, but the smell is very similar. It has like the same sort of cooling effect, and I find the spray to be like a lot higher quality. Like this still has product left in it, but like it's not really spraying. I've also heard great things about the e.l.f. coconut setting slash primer spray, but I've never tried it, but I've heard really great things about the scent of it. So if you love the coconut scent, that's definitely worth trying. I know Nicole Cutler always raves about coconut scented stuff, and she said she absolutely loves that one. And the last product I have was also requested. It's the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit lipsticks. So I actually did not love these very much, and I kind of feel like I was alone in that. They kind of felt too thick for like what they are. I don't know, they just like kind of would transfer onto my teeth, look a little sticky. Maybe I was using them wrong. My favorite alternative is the NYX Intense Butter Glosses. Make sure it's the Intense, not the normal butter gloss. These are also a very opaque gloss. They're just slightly less opaque, but they're quite similar. So this is the shade Tres Leches next to the shade Chic Got Real. So it's pretty similar. The NYX Intense Butter Gloss is also $5 like the Liquid Catsuit, but I normally see it on sale for $3.50. And then I also have the shade Caught You Bare Naked from the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit line, which is more of your true nude. And it's pretty similar to the shade Cookie Butter Biscuit from the NYX line. The NYX one is a little bit more of a cool toned nude. So these are quite similar. I actually like them a little better than the Liquid Catsuit. So there's that. I'm more of a fan of like clear glitter glosses in general though, partially just because I like my lip color. And I'm like, if I want to wear a gloss, like I don't want to worry about it like transferring onto my teeth or anything and like looking bad. So those are all of my alternatives. I will link everything down below. I'm wearing all of them except for the Juvia's Place blush on my face today because I went with the e.l.f. blush. So everything's on my face. You can see how it looks. I'll link everything for you if you're interested in getting any of them. But like I said, don't throw stuff out just to buy a replacement. Bad for the environment. Please don't do it. Definitely feel free to leave your alternatives down below. I'm sure everyone would love to hear them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!